thought this would be a good idea to shoot in Chinatown, but it's a little noisy. But let us begin. Hello everyone, and welcome to the corner of East Georgia and Gore in Chinatown, Vancouver. I'm here to shoot my first shooting impressions video of the Fujifilm X-E4 with the 27 f2.8 RWR pancake. And most of my pictures were taken here in Chinatown, Vancouver, so that's why I wanted to shoot this video here. And so let's go over the pros and the cons of this new compact X-Series ILC camera from Fujifilm. Let us begin. Oh, and just in case you're wondering what chrome bag I'm wearing, it is the original Nico sling bag. I think it's the original. It's kind of a unique bag. It has its quirks. Maybe one day I will do a review of a bag that is no longer available. So I'm in one of my favorite alleys here in Chinatown, just behind the Matchsticks coffee shop, and this is East Georgia over here. And let's talk about the pros of this new X-E4 with the 27 f2.8 pancake. Now in lighting like this is a great combination. F2.8 is good enough for outdoor daylight. I did find a little bit of weakness when it was indoor and the lighting levels dropped a bit, but outdoors this is a great lens. Now this isn't going to be as quiet as the X100V that has a leaf shutter lens. In terms of focusing, this kind of chatters when it can't seem to find focus, but if you're focusing out 10 feet, 20 feet, autofocus is fine. In terms of being light and compact, the entire time I had the thumb grip as well as the hand grip on the entire time, and even with this I was able to fit it inside a small little sling bag. So for me, this is small enough. If Fujifilm made it bigger, had the old X-E3 grip, and gave you that old thumb grip, I think it's still a decent size. So I don't think it was necessary for Fujifilm to strip so much of the grippage, so much of the accessories, just to make this camera thinner. Now shooting out in the streets, outdoors, with the EVF, I have sunglasses on. It is okay. In general, when I had this camera, I enjoyed shooting with the articulating screen, kind of shooting it down low, and you can sort of tell by the photos that I was able to take that a lot of it was kind of waist level, down low, and discreetly. I did shoot some stuff with my camera up to my eye like this, but in general, the LCD worked for my style of photography, so I probably couldn't go back to the X-E3. The way I shot with this, I enjoy this type of articulating screen, and I enjoy how far out it sticks out. It's great even for sort of overhead video as well as overhead photography, but for street photography, having an articulating screen like this is awesome. Another thing I really liked about this combination is this 27mm field of view, which works out to be about a 40 mil. Now those of you that shoot with a 23 XF23 lens, like the X100V, so about a 35 mil field of view in full frame, if you find that you're cropping a lot, then you probably would love this 27. And vice versa, if you have the XF35, so like a 50 mil equivalent, and you find that you're always stepping back to get your shot, again, I think this 27mm lens is great. I have a 40 mil Summicron for my Leica system, and I love that lens. And as well, I have the 45 mil f2 for my Minolta MD mount cameras. And again, I love that lens. And so if you like to shoot street and you're always kind of going between the 23 and the 35mm lens, I think this 27mm lens is perfect for you. For me, the major con of this camera is really this minimalist approach by removing the dials and buttons. And if you want more details of what's missing, I have a video where I kind of go through all the things that are missing compared to the X-E3. But having that view mode removed, it won't be in the Q menu. I think a lot of it is because if you go to EVF only, then the screen will go blank. But I actually, in my setup, I said I would put it to the swipe functions. Didn't work out very well for me. I got rid of all the swipe functions because as you're going like this, as you're using the touch screen for the focusing points, I found that I was accidentally knocking the view mode as well as the focus mode. And so I moved the focus select dial into the Q menu and just kind of left the view mode in the main menu, which is a bit of a pain to access, and then just turned off all screen swipe functions other than focus point select when my eye is to the EVF, as well as selecting the actual focus points. And so having a lot of these buttons, if I just had one dial or one button back, I would actually want the rear dial back, because with the rear dial, you can also use it as a push-in button, then that ends up being another custom function. So once the camera is set up the way I want, which is the top function button is white balance, and the AEL, AFL button ended up becoming my film simulation select, and then everything else is pretty much the way it has to be. I have the front push-in button to go back and forth between shutter speed as well as ISO. So other than that, I mean, in general, 80% of the time, I had the shot, the features are the way it is, but once I went indoors, or once I stopped shooting street and did another style of photography, then I had to go in and change the custom functions around. So what can you say? The buttons are gone, and I don't think they're coming back. All right, rush hour has just begun here in Chinatown, so I better wrap this up. I'm in front of the old Goldstone Chinese restaurant. It's a Hong Kong style cafe. They've been shut down since the pandemic last year, and so I thought it would be a nice place to sort of end off. I had good times here. The X-E4 with the 27 pancake, is it a good street photography camera? Yes, it is. If I had to choose between this and the X100V, which would I pick? 100% I would pick the X100V for a plethora of reasons. One of them is just that leaf shutter lens, and that 23 f2 lens is much sharper and more capable than this lens here. It focuses faster. It's kind of a noisy lens for focusing as well, but not as noisy as this lens over here. And I just love the optical viewfinder on the X100V. So for street photography, the X100V, it also has an articulating screen, although not as versatile as this one here. As a compact ILC camera within the Fujifilm ecosystem, the X-T30, the XS10, and the X-E4. Of those three, which would I pick? I'd pick the XS10 because I have the grip and the thumb rest on here. It's still compact and lightweight enough. And so the XS10, what you gain is IBIS and that large grip. So I would definitely go with the XS10. So where does that leave the X-E4? Well, it's not the best at everything other than being the most compact ILC body that Fujifilm has, but they did that at the expense of removing the front grip, removing the rear thumb rest, and as well as removing a lot of the buttons. And so in terms of the body design, I do prefer the X-E3, although I think the X-E4 looks better. But if you want the latest and greatest from Fujifilm, the latest firmware, the latest sensor, and the latest processor, and you want something that is the most compact, then the X-E4 is the best that Fujifilm has to offer right now. But I don't think it does anything the best in comparison to what already exists within the Fujifilm ecosystem. But for some people, this is the perfect camera. And so I give this a thumbs up. Out of 10, I would say maybe I don't really do out of 10. So if you want more details on the X-E4, I'll put the links down below. I did my first look as well as my first impressions where I go through a lot of the features, but you know, actually using it and actually shooting with it, this is a great camera on its own when I'm not comparing it against the X100V or the XS10. So thank you so much for watching again and coming to you from Chinatown, Vancouver, here on the east side. You haven't seen me on the streets for a long time. And again, very sad that Goldstone is closed. All right, we're done and we're ready to shoot. Chris, what are you doing, man?
I'm getting all this gear ready for you.
Hopefully another Hong Kong style cafe will open up here in Chinatown. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. Happy shooting.